10 most protected presidents in the world. 1. Joe Biden. The President of the United States is always at the top of the list, which is why the security procedures of Joe Biden are among the very best in the world. Most people know the Secret Service and their daily efforts to keep the POTUS in the land of the living, but the grumpy men in black suits and earpieces are just a tiny part of the president's security detail. The 2 Air Force One planes Biden uses for air travel are among the most secure aircrafts in the world. Yes, there are actually 2 of them, and there's also a fleet of helicopters called Marine One. The presidential motorcade is an even stranger beast, and it's not just because the president's pair of bomb-proof limousines are literally nicknamed the Beast. The motorcade is a carefully constructed array of custom and occasionally rental vehicles that varies with the task at hand. The presidential limousine is the focus of the motorcade, and is always accompanied by 1 or more spare limos that are identical right down to the plates. While the motorcade is in motion, highly trained limo drivers constantly and subtly change places, so the location of the true presidential limousine and the spares constantly change in an automobile version of the shell game. Helicopters are also close by. As you can imagine, it takes several heavy USAF transport planes to move a motorcade to the desired location, and several motorcades are often needed, depending on the president's travel schedule. 2. Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin, Russia's president, leads his government with the strongest security plan in the world. He is widely regarded as the most powerful person on the globe, and he controls the world's most advanced nuclear arsenal. Vladimir Putin, as one of the world's most powerful politicians, is constantly guarded by an elite security agency and the country's military. This is why Putin has managed to avoid being killed by his foes for so long. Russia has more than its share of secrets and secretive agencies, but one mysterious security force towers above all others, the Federal Protection Service. FSO, also known as Putin's People, is an enigma. No one knows precisely how powerful the agency is, but it's assumed that its power is roughly on par with how secretive it is, which is very. There's no real public data available about this multi-purpose agency and its operations, and pretty much the only thing known about its current leader, Dmitry Kochnev, is his name. Like China's Central Security Bureau, FSO is responsible for the safety of the country's political elite, but its ultimate priority is to keep body number 1 safe. That body is, of course, President Vladimir Putin. 3. Kim Jong Un. Kim Jong Un, the ruler and president of North Korea, has a steel-like security system. North Korea, which is known for its brutal past, is a country that is constantly prepared to protect itself from external attacks or threats. When North Korea's Kim Jong Un visited Singapore in 2018, he was accompanied by a spy guard detail that seemed a lot like the U.S. Secret Service. However, North Korea is notorious for its overkill, and Kim's bodyguards are no exception. While the Secret Service has less than 7,000 employees, its North Korean version has an absurd 100,000. This elite unit is called the Guard Command, and they essentially serve as Kim's highly trained personal army that reports directly to him. 4. Mohammed bin Sulman. Mohammed bin Sulman is the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, which has the world's greatest oil reserves and is home to some of the world's richest individuals. He also serves as the country's Deputy Prime Minister, head of the Council for Economic and Development Affairs, and Minister of Defense. Salman has spent more than $20 billion on military weapons in recent years. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Sulman of Saudi Arabia has been rumored to be on bad terms with his father, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. While it would normally be easy to read a sentence like that and assume that the Crown Prince's security has actually lowered, in Mohammed bin Sulman's case the opposite seems to be true. Middle East Eye has observed that the prince has reacted to a potential diminishing, or even being forced out of office by creating a massive security network around himself. He has spent over a year increasing his influence on Saudi Arabia's security agencies and the military, ensuring promotions to young officers who are loyal to him and arranging matters so that even the higher-ups report directly to him. 5. Tayyip Edrogan. President of Turkey, might not be the most heavily guarded person on this list, but his security detail is certainly one of the most hardcore. Erdogan has a loyal 60-man bodyguard detail known as the Mustachiers, and yes, the name absolutely means they are all burly men who boast fearsome mustaches. The mustachiers are so wholly unconcerned with anything that isn't immediately related to their leader's safety that in 2017, they thought nothing of kicking the snot out of several American citizens who were protesting Erdogan in Washington, D.C. 7 bodyguards were charged for the attacks, but the charges were later dropped. As a mysterious coincidence, this happened just before Erdogan's meeting with Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. Fearsome as the mustachiers may be, they're far from the only weapon in Erdogan's personal security arsenal when the need arises. During the president's historic visit to Greece in 2017, the 60 mustache men joined an estimated 100 other Turkish security officials, along with over 3,000 Greek snipers, agents and cops positioned all over Athens. 6. Xi Jinping. As the main man of China, it's no surprise Xi Jinping comes pretty heavily guarded. He and the other higher-ups of the Communist Party are protected by an elite guard unit called Central Security Bureau, which is a notoriously secretive organization. To this day, the most public appearance of its leader, His Excellency Wang Xiaojun, came in 2015 when he attended a White House banquet, and we only know his highly classified day job because the official guest list casually mentioned his job title. Major General Wang holds a very influential position within China, as the Central Guard Bureau has thousands of elite troops that are tasked with protecting the country's top brass and their families, and because Xi Jinping personally promoted him to the task in 2015, it's probably pretty clear where the Bureau's loyalties lie in the constant turmoil of Beijing politics. Still, it's not until Xi makes a trip aboard that the true extent of his security needs is revealed. During a 2017 visit to Hong Kong, a massive security blanket enveloped the area. Parts of the city were shut down, as 11,000 police officers did their level best to keep the president safe with peacekeeping tools such as helicopters and movable 6-foot barricades. 7. King Charles III. Charles Philip Arthur George is King of the United Kingdom and the 14 other Commonwealth realms. He was the longest-serving heir apparent and Prince of Wales and, at age 73, became the oldest person to accede to the British throne following the death of his mother, Elizabeth II. The King's security forces are impressive, yet something of a mixed bag. The most visible and famous line of her defense, the iconic, tall-hatted Queen's Guard, are mostly known for their elaborate marching spectacles and unflinching poker face during guard duty, but they're actually far from the joke some tourists take them as and are perfectly able to mess you up if you overstep. Then there's the security personnel that guards the Buckingham Palace at all hours, who are more conventional than the King's Guard and their toy uniforms. However, His Majesty is safely protected by the Royal Protection Squad. This elite Scotland Yard squad was formed in 1983, and reportedly consists of up to 185 SAS-trained officers with various degrees of James Bond-ness. The RPS is responsible for providing around-the-clock security for the Queen, along with the rest of the royal family and London's diplomats. The RPS is so effective that some experts say they might have been able to prevent Princess Diana's death. Lady Diana dismissed the unit's 24-hour surveillance after she divorced Prince Charles, which experts think left her exposed. Still, it must be mentioned that a survivor of Diana's fatal crash, security expert Trevor Rees-Jones, was a former RPS member. 8. Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak is a British politician and a Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He has a bulletproof car and a team of highly trained bodyguards, but gaps in the Prime Minister's security system still appear from time to time. The Prime Minister is flanked by a team of highly trained close protection officers from the Metropolitan Police and UK Special Forces. Sunak is transported around in one of a fleet of custom-built, armored Jaguar XJ Sentinels. Many features of the 5.0-liter supercharged V8 limousines are classified, but they are understood to include bulletproof windows, a bomb-proof floor plate and run-flat tires. They also have gun ports, an independent oxygen supply and can release tear gas to subdue angry crowds. When traveling in the vehicles, Sunak is flanked protection officers in unmarked Range Rovers. Previous prime ministers have motorcycle outriders from the Metropolitan Police's Special Escort Group to speed them through traffic. 9. Pope. The Pope is on the side of the angels by his very job description, but that doesn't mean he doesn't need a few people who can put the hurt on people should the need arise. The Pontifical Swiss Guard have a goofy name and an outfit to match, but don't let that fool you. In reality, they're a lethal guardian force comprised of the best soldiers Switzerland has to offer. They are perfectly capable of disabling a wannabe assassin with the seemingly ceremonial polearms they carry around alone, but it's not like they'd actually need to use such old-school technology. The Swiss Guard actually have one of the most advanced collections of firearms in the world. The Guard is the world's oldest standing military, and incidentally also pretty much the smallest, seldom numbering more than 125 soldiers at a time. The Pope's travels also often feature the legendary Popemobile. There have been many Popemobiles over the years, but the premise is pretty simple: a usually white vehicle with a platform at the back where the Pope can stand and wave, see and be seen, encased in bulletproof glass. 10. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is more than a former president of one of the world's most powerful countries, the United States. He is also a billionaire with hundreds of enterprises throughout the world. His net worth is reported to be over $2.5 billion. The job of President of the United States of America has always been fraught with security risks, but Donald Trump set a new high. For example, guarding former President Barack Obama and his family for a year costs around $16 million. But President Trump increased the cost to $29 million. The U.S. Congress set aside $120 million in 2017 for the president's and his family's protection for a year. The Secret Service is an elite team tasked with safeguarding the president's integrity. We're talking about a force of over 7,000 members that are precisely organized and ready to respond to any crisis that threatens the president's life.